John Henry. John Henry, that's a name that's gonna live forever because he was one of the greatest heroes this country ever had. He was the greatest steel driver that ever swung a hammer. In fact, he swung 2 hammers. John Henry was so powerful, he had a hammer in each hand. And he was a hero when this great country needed a great hero.
He was a giant of a man.
John Henry was a powerful man. John Henry was the most powerful steel driver that ever swung 2 hammers.
He was a giant of a man.
And John Henry was a powerful, big man. And when
he was a giant of a man.
John Henry was a giant of a man.
Drive on, John! When John Henry was a little baby, sitting on his daddy's knee, picked up a hammer, little piece of steel, and said, "This hammer be the death of me, Lord, Lord, Lord. Hammer be the death of me." Oh. Yeah, John Henry was a poor boy. Only things he ever had were the makings of a legend, little piece of steel, and the hammer he got from his dad, Lord, Lord, Lord. Hammer he got from his dad. Oh, yeah. You know, some people believe that John Henry was born with a hammer in his hand. Lord, Lord. Of course, there are some people who say they've seen a chicken with lips. Well, John Henry was born down in West Virginia, in the hills of West Virginia, right around Big Bend Tunnel. And folks down that way still swear they can still hear John Henry's hammers echoing through those hills. Whop, 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 whop. See, John Henry got his first hammer from his daddy. He was just a little fella, and his daddy gave him a little kitchen hammer, and John Henry just grabbed that hammer and started hammering on things. See, a wise man once said that when a child first discovers a hammer, the whole world becomes a nail. And sure enough, John Henry just went around hammering on everything. He'd hit the kitchen sink, whop, 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 and hitting the pans, whop, 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 and banging the little girl next door's door. Whop, 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 whop. Good Lordy.
Yes, good Lordy.
Well, John Henry, he started growing in size, and he started growing in stature, and
so did his hammer.
So did his hammer. His daddy kept giving him a bigger hammer good Lordy, by the time John Henry was 15 years old, he done hammered everything there was in town. And his daddy, Henry, said, "John Henry, it's about time you start working on the railroads, driving steel like your father." And sure enough, at 15 years old, John Henry started driving steel on the railroad, and 2 short years, he was driving steel faster than any 10 men. Yes, John Henry was driving. It was also the time of greatness in this country, 1868. The time of the transcontinental railroads, April 4th, 1868. Exactly 100 years to the day of our cancellation.
This was also the time of the Industrial Revolution, and John Henry became a legend of this great conflict.
One day, the captain, head of all the railroad workers, one day, the captain of all the railroad workers walked up to John Henry and said, "John Henry, I'm bringing a steam drill around, automatic steel driver. It's gonna drive steel faster than any man ever could." Well, John Henry heard this, and he didn't say nothing. He just walked up to the captain, and in front of all his fellow railroad workers, John Henry, he said to the captain, "Man ain't nothing but a man. Before I let your steam drill beat me down, I'm gonna die with a hammer in my hand, Lord, Lord, Lord. Die with a hammer in my hand." Oh. And sure enough, the very next day, they arranged a race between John Henry and that steam drill. Well, every man in the railroad territory was out there that day because they knew if John Henry lost that race, Well, they were all out of a job. Well, over there stood that steam drill, big shiny smokestack sticking up in the air, and well, the captain, he walked over to that steam drill, kind of smiled, and they looked over at John Henry. "You ready, boy?" Well, I swear you could hear a pin drop that day, because John Henry, he didn't say nothing. He just spit on his hands, picked up those 2 9-pound hammers. Shut up. He walked over to the starting line. The captain pulled out a pistol, pointed up in the air, and shot it off. And started one of the greatest histories.
Races.
The greatest races in history. Man against machine. What? 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 Well, I'm not going to bore you with the details of the race. But John Henry lost that race, and sure enough, he laid down his hammer and he died. Lord, Lord.
Over here. Well, they buried him in the sand.
Amen.
Right next to the old right-of-way.
Amen.
And every railroad man that would go by, he'd say, "Amen, John Henry. There lies a steel-driving man."
Amen, John Henry.
Amen.
Sing it, brother. In the hills of West Virginia, right around Big Bend Tunnel, they say there's a lot of little hammers running around town that look a lot like John Henry.